Picture the neon glare of Las Vegas.
Oh, wow. Okay, starting big.
Right. Just, right in the middle of the corporate entertainment capital of the world.
Right.
And sitting there is this massive, custom-built hardware rig called the Red Monster pedal board.
The Red Monster. Sounds intimidating.
It really is. And it is actively pulling decentralized digital code from a community-hosted server.
Yeah.
Then it translates that data and basically blasts it out as ground-shaking physical sound waves.
Which is just a crazy visual.
It's totally wild. I mean, it's a direct, literal collision between this grassroots digital rebellion and, the ultimate symbol of manufactured pop culture.
Absolutely, because we are so used to just pulling out our phones, right?
Yeah.
Opening an app and just passively renting our culture. Like, if a licensing deal falls through tomorrow,
your favorite album just vanishes.
Oof, gone from your library.
Exactly. But what if a musician decided to build an indestructible system where that could literally never happen?
Well, it requires completely dismantling the way we think about media consumption. I mean, it means moving away from a centralized vault controlled by executives, right?
Right.
And moving toward a model where the music, the narrative, and the technology are completely interwoven and owned by the listeners themselves.
And that is exactly our mission today. We're doing a deep dive into a really fascinating stack of sources that outline what the future of the music industry might look like if it stops being an industry altogether.
Yeah, if it just completely bypasses the traditional structures.
Exactly. We have these detailed interview documents profiling the musical journey of an artist named Christopher Cannon.
Right.
And alongside that, we have a highly detailed Kickstarter manifesto for a project titled The Archive, a unified creative execution.
Such a bold title.
It is. And this isn't just like an album rollout. We are talking about this wild hybrid of Web3 technology, highly specialized physical hardware, and deeply personal interactive lore.
It's a lot to wrap your head around.
It is. Okay, let's unpack this.
So to really grasp the architecture of what Cannon is building, we kind of have to look at where he started.
Right, his background.
Yeah, because his foundation is actually rooted in the exact system he is now trying to bypass.
Right.
He actually studied radio and television broadcasting at the University of Southern Indiana.
I found that detail incredibly striking, honestly.
Ironic, right?
Total irony. I mean, we have this architect of a massive, decentralized, anti-corporate future, but his formal education is in the most traditional, heavily regulated form of media imaginable.
Exactly. Broadcasting is as regulated as it gets.
Right. And yet, over the past 8 years, his output has been the polar opposite of standard radio fare.
Oh, complete.
He has evolved into this wildly diverse, multi-genre artist. I mean, the documents list his styles. Let me see. Electroacoustic, instrumental, hip-hop, world, pop, electro, and funk.
That is quite the list.
Right. It feels less like someone just jumping between genres and more like someone actively trying to break the concept of categorization altogether.
Yeah, just smashing the boxes.
Exactly. But it makes me wonder, though, if your goal is to basically rebel against traditional media, is a broadcasting degree really the best catalyst for that?
Wow.
Because my hypothesis would be that if you spend 4 years learning, FCC regulations, demographic targeting, and how broadcast towers work, you might end up entrenched in that mindset.
You'd think so, yeah.
Why would a broadcasting student want to burn down the broadcast tower? I mean, to me, this genre-blending evolution is like a chef who takes molecular gastronomy and forces it to work with street food. It's a deliberate deconstruction.
That's a great analogy. And what's fascinating here is that studying the traditional mechanisms of media is precisely what allows you to map its vulnerabilities.
Interesting. So you have to know the rules to break them.
Exactly. A formal education in broadcasting doesn't just teach you audio mixing. It teaches you the pipeline.
Right. The whole supply chain of media.
Yes. You learn exactly how content is controlled, who dictate the distribution, and how the monetization flows strictly uphill to the executives.
Right. The people at the top.
Yeah. Cannon likely saw firsthand the severe limitations and the corporate chokeholds of the legacy industry, what his manifesto later refers to as the old tables.
The old tables. I like that phrasing.
Yeah. And understanding that rigid, centralized structure is often the exact catalyst. An artist needs to realize that the only way to win is to build an entirely different game.
Right. It's like an illusionist who learns how the trapdoor works just so they can build a better stage.
Exactly.
He learned the rules of the old table specifically to render it obsolete.
He had to see the machine to break the machine.
Yeah. So if he is abandoning that traditional broadcast pipeline, how is he actually getting this genre-bending music out into the world? Because he clearly isn't just burning CDs and handing them out in parking lots.
No, definitely not. He is migrating his entire operation to a completely decentralized digital frontier.
Okay, the digital frontier.
Yeah. The sources detail the creation of the Indiana Buckley Archive.
The Indiana Buckley Archive.
Yes, and this is the core engine of his new model. It's basically designed to completely bypass traditional publishing by shifting the listener from a passive consumer into an active community participant.
Okay, so the documents put a heavy emphasis on integrating Web3, virtual reality, augmented reality, and NFTs to make this archive function.
Yeah, it's very tech-heavy.
And it mentions all these merch ecosystems too, like Patreon, Redbubble, and something called CCM Demo.
Right, all feeding into the same network.
Now, I have to be honest here.
Uh-oh.
Well, whenever I see words like NFTs and Web3 in a pitch, my initial reaction is pure skepticism.
Oh, absolutely, me too.
Because those terms have been entirely hijacked by speculative crypto markets, right?
Yeah, people just trying to flip digital images of apes for a quick profit.
Exactly. But looking at the mechanics described in this manifesto, here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay, lay it on me.
I suspect he is using the underlying technology of Web3 for its actual original purpose. Like, instead of treating it like a digital casino, are these technologies being used here less like speculative crypto art and more like turning a musician's brain into an interactive open source library?
You are hitting on the exact fundamental difference between speculative crypto and functional Web3 architecture.
Okay, so I'm not crazy.
Not at all.
Yeah.
The Indiana Buckley Archive is not just a glorified playlist hosted on a private server. It houses his early works, his current unpublished projects, sound packs, and most crucially, something called logic profiles.
Okay, let's pause on that because I think people might really gloss over how radical that is.
It is huge.
A logic profile, for anyone listening who doesn't produce music, refers to the actual project file from the music production software, Logic Pro.
Right, the raw session.
He is giving away the raw DNA of the track. Like, if you open that file, you see every single decision he made.
Every EQ tweak.
Every hidden vocal layer. In the traditional label system, that project file is kept under lock and key. It's the proprietary recipe.
The secret sauce.
Yeah. Giving that away fundamentally breaks the traditional monetization model, which relies entirely on hoarding copyright and artificial scarcity.
Precisely. Because in the traditional model, community building is largely just a marketing tactic.
Right. Buy my t-shirt.
Exactly. The fans are a revenue stream. But in Canon's model, by distributing the logic profiles and utilizing Web3 frameworks, the community literally holds the infrastructure of the art.
Wow.
When we talk about Web3 in this context, we are talking about a decentralized network of computers hosting the files. The archive is distributed across the community itself.
It doesn't live in one place.
Right. It does not live on one centralized Amazon or Google server that a CEO could just decide to unplug if it stops being profitable.
Which brings a whole new context to the philosophy driving this architecture.
Yeah, it's not just a technical choice.
Right. The archive isn't just an interactive playground for music nerds to poke around in. It is explicitly designed as a defensive mechanism.
A fortress, basically.
Yeah. And at the center of this ecosystem is a framework they call the narrative intake system.
Yes, and this is where we really see the academic rigor behind the project.
Right, because this wasn't just cooked up in a garage overnight.
No. The manifesto explicitly states that this system represents several years of research and development into decentralized creative economies.
Which was conducted at Grand Canyon University.
And exactly, Grand Canyon University.
So they describe the narrative intake system as this lore-driven archive designed to support specific projects like Alchemy Unveiled and Christopher Cannon music.
Right.
And the stated goal of this system is preserving creative work beyond the reach of censorship.
Yes.
Now, when I read the mechanics of how this intake system distributes the files, I immediately pictured a digital seed vault for art.
Oh, I love that. Like the Svalbard vault.
Exactly, like the global seed vault in Norway that protects crop diversity from environmental disaster, but, engineered for audiophiles.
A failsafe.
But I do have a question for you about this framing.
Okay, what is it?
Is the threat of government-style censorship in the music industry really severe enough to warrant building an entirely new database architecture from scratch? Or when the manifesto talks about being beyond the reach of censorship, is this language actually a metaphor for achieving total financial independence from corporate labels?
That is a brilliant distinction. And it raises an important question about how we actually define censorship in the modern era.
Because it's not always a guy in a suit burning books.
No, it's not always a government agent banning a song. When the sources talk about making traditional corporate structures obsolete, they are actively identifying financial control as a form of erasure.
Erasure. Wow.
Think about it. If a massive conglomerate buys a record label, decides a finished album doesn't fit their Q3 financial projections, and locks it in a vault forever.
That is censorship.
Exactly. The public never hears it. The artist cannot legally release it.
That happens all the time in the industry, too.
Constantly. So the gravity of the narrative intake system is that it removes the gatekeepers entirely. True creative autonomy means the infrastructure itself cannot be weaponized against the creator.
Right, you can't be shelved if you own the shell.
You do not have to ask for permission to create if you own the printing press, the delivery trucks, and the record store.
Right.
And in this ecosystem, those tools are the decentralized digital nodes hosted by the fans themselves.
That makes perfect sense. Financial shelving is just censorship with better PR.
Exactly.
So he has built this indestructible, decentralized digital vault. The theory is sound. The academic R&D from Grand Canyon University is in place.
Everything is theoretically perfect.
Right. But an archive living purely in the cloud feels a bit like a ghost.
It lacks physical impact.
Yeah, at some point, music has to vibrate the air molecules in a room. To prove this decentralized ecosystem actually functions as a replacement for the traditional music industry, it has to be dragged kicking and screaming into the physical world.
And that transition, forcing the digital data to manifest in the physical realm, is arguably the most ambitious part of the entire archive manifesto.
This brings us back to that Kickstarter campaign, right?
Yes.
They launched a Kickstarter campaign seeking $15,000 in flexible funding to basically build the physical bridge.
Right.
And they call it the Red Monster pedal board.
Or back to the monster.
The monster.
Yeah.
Now, for anyone listening who isn't a musician, a pedal board is usually just a flat board where a guitar player keeps their effects pedals, distortion, delay, that sort of thing.
Pretty standard gear.
Right. But the documents describe the Red Monster as a specialized hardware rig and performance engine. Its specific purpose is to translate something called the Tyāga sound signature.
Yes.
And this is all happening under the umbrella of what they call the Zeuspan 500 initiative.
There's a ton of jargon to untangle there.
Right, because they are taking this massive rig to Las Vegas for a landmark live-action collaboration with an artist named Baron Wade, which is going to be captured in high-fidelity 4K for the permanent archive. So what does this all mean?
Let's break down those mechanisms because it is dense.
Please do.
The Zeuspan 500 initiative is essentially the overarching logistical mission to execute this physical performance. It is the operational blueprint.
Okay, the blueprint. Got it.
Now, the Tyāga sound signature requires a bit more unpacking.
Yeah, what is Tyāga?
Tyāga is a concept often associated with letting go or sacrifice. In this context, it represents a unique acoustic fingerprint. It's a specific protocol of sound that Canon has developed by letting go of traditional genre constraints.
Tying back to the multi-genre broadcasting student.
Exactly. The Red Monster pedal board is the machine built to process that specific digital signature.
Okay, so it isn't just a board with some guitar pedals on it. The best way I can conceptualize the Red Monster is to think of it like a physical 3D printer, but for sound waves.
Oh, that's a perfect way to describe it.
It's basically taking this abstract, decentralized digital code from the Web3 cloud and forcing it into the real world as literal physical noise.
A literal physical manifestation of the digital vault.
Right, but I keep coming back to the location.
Vegas.
Why Las Vegas? It feels incredibly deliberate. I mean, Las Vegas is the ultimate monument to the old table.
It really is.
It is the absolute epicenter of highly centralized, heavily manufactured corporate entertainment spectacles.
The complete opposite of a decentralized Web3 archive.
Exactly. So by dragging this grassroots decentralized rig onto the streets of Vegas, are they basically setting up a symbolic battleground? Is this the ultimate crash of decentralized art into corporate entertainment?
This raises an important question about how one actually, performs a decentralized database.
How do you perform a database?
You take it to the capital of centralization, you go to Vegas, and you prove that your modular, unstoppable ecosystem can generate a spectacle that stands toe-to-toe with billion-dollar infrastructures.
Wow. It's a flex.
It is a massive flex. As the manifesto points out, this event with Baron Wade is not just a concert. They specifically call it a live-action documentation of future label protocol.
Future label protocol. That phrasing is so clinical, but so cool.
Right. They're executing this performance and capturing it in 4K resolution specifically to feed that data right back into the permanent Indiana Buckley archive.
Okay, so it's an intentional feedback loop.
Exactly.
The digital seed vault provides the code, the red monster 3D prints that code into a live performance in Vegas, and then the recording of that performance is ingested right back into the vault as new lore.
It's a self-sustaining ecosystem.
Which brings us to a crucial piece of this puzzle.
The listener.
Yes. If the Web3 architecture is functioning and the physical red monster pedal board actually works in Vegas, how do you and I actually interact with this new world?
Right.
I want you, the listener, to really think about your current relationship with music apps. You scroll, you tap, you listen.
You skip.
Yeah, you skip. It is entirely passive. So how does Canon's ecosystem change the behavior of the everyday listener?
This is where the concept of lore becomes the structural glue holding the entire ecosystem together. The manifesto doesn't just offer tracks to listen to, it offers an entire narrative universe to inhabit.
Right. The documents detail concepts like Chuck's Barn and Chuck's Magical Mysteries.
Yeah.
Now, at first glance, that sounds like the title of a children's book.
It does, yeah.
But the sources explain that these are the narrative frameworks holding the lore of the fusion styles they embody. Like, if you support this Kickstarter, you aren't just pre-ordering a piece of plastic.
No, it's way deeper than that.
The backer rewards include unlocking archive profiles, gaining access to exclusive music stems, which, again, for non-musicians are the isolated drum tracks, the naked vocals, the bare bass lines, and achieving something called sleeper status recognition within the system.
Sleeper status.
Yeah. Right. When I map out those mechanics, this framework sounds remarkably like a rich open-world video game.
Yes.
Like, you are unlocking status tiers, you are gathering raw crafting materials in the form of audio stems, and you are delving into environmental lore like Chuck's Barn to understand the context of the art.
Exactly.
But instead of leveling up a digital avatar, you are participating in real-world music production.
It demands a completely different psychological posture from the audience. You are no longer leaning back and receiving content. You are leaning in and co-creating.
Co-creating, yeah.
By granting supporters sleeper status and distributing the raw stems of the music, the historical barrier separating the untouchable creator from the lowly consumer is completely dissolved.
There's no more VIP section.
Right. You aren't just a fan wearing a t-shirt, you become a recognized custodian of the archive.
Wow.
You literally possess the raw material to remix the tracks, reinterpret the meaning, and actively expand the lore of Chuck's Barn yourself.
So you become part of the narrative.
Yes. If we connect this to the bigger picture, when Canon states that the goal is to make the old tables obsolete, he isn't suggesting he wants to just sit at the head of a new table.
He's not just trying to become the new CEO.
Exactly. He is making the old tables obsolete by providing the community with